Hello there, beautiful internet and you amazing creatures of the beyond. Hope you are all doing superb today and you're having a fantastic day. So, let's discuss a bit about original ideas that apply into art. And sometimes coming out with a new concept that nobody thought of seems rather difficult because there have been so many works of art, so many concepts that it kind of feels like there's nothing original left out there. But I beg to differ because everything we experience today might have been something impossible in the past to believe. And everything we will experience in the future might be something impossible to believe for us right now. Um, I have recently watched, well, a series and a movie, and they're quite unique and bizarre in their take of how they present their ideas to you. But they are original, and I truly enjoyed them. Although there are some flaws into them, obviously. But I'm not here to discuss the flaws. I'm here to focus on the positives of these pieces of art. So the first one is called. It's a series called Scavenger Reign or Scavenger's Reign. Um, it is an animated series, and the action takes part on an alien planet with a very alien ecosystem where the survivors of a ship that had an incident um, get on the surface of the planet and have to survive. The ship is still in orbit, so they have to bring it on the surface and then see how they go forward from there. Now, the logic in this series is kind of idiotic, to be honest, because the characters mm, don't feel like they are in any particular danger. They feel always like in control. The situations always kind of turns into their favor, and I think that is kind of false. Like if you create a scenario where there are many unknowns and you don't fully understand what's going on, you should be in a situation where you fear for your life and where you feel panicked and dramatic and you have a lot of human emotions going through. But no, these characters feel very, I wouldn't say one dimensional, but uh, very plain. There are times when they show human emotions, and it's important to understand why I'm focusing on this aspect. It's because when you're conveying an information to a viewer, you have to associate those feelings through the emotions of the character because the viewer has to become the character. But if the character does not feel in any danger, does not feels like it already knows everything there is to know and will know it will survive because the character read the scripts, then there is no reason to kind of embrace the character. Then you're just kind of looking at the character in the sense of, I don't know, a piece of a puzzle that has to go somewhere. So you don't associate, which is bad in my opinion. But on the positive side, the alien ecosystem is quite well portrayed. Everything feels unnatural, and it it wraps this concept of beauty, harmony, but also intense danger because there are unknown bacteria, unknown creatures and you don't know how to react to them if you would be there. I'm not talking about the characters. And it's also interesting how they made the series because they diverged the plot into three stories with different characters in different states of mind. Again, they could have been fleshed much, much better, but the point of how the stories are presented to us, it's quite appealing. Um, and it does try to portray that this world tries to do everything in its power to attack them, because just like your body, if a foreign bacteria gets into your body reacts accordingly, and that harmony becomes kind of chaos because it doesn't understand the foreign element, so it tries to eliminate it or neutralize it or find a way to isolate it. And this is what the environment also tries here, but yeah, they left a lot of plot armor to these characters. Like there was this situation where a character gets infected with whatever the infection was. I don't know, like an alien bacteria, let's call it. And she finds a pool of water, gets into the water, and the fish eat only the bacteria, but not her. It was like, that's very convenient, but not very original, is it not? But still, it was quite unique in the presentation of the aliens, how the aliens interact with each other, and it feels organic and natural. Now, the second movie, well, the second piece of work that I want to talk about, it's called Chronopolis, and it was made in 1982 by a guy called Piotr Kamler. Piotr Kamler. I think he's Polish, but the movie is in French. Although you don't have any. Well, there are two versions of the movie. One has a narrator and the other doesn't. And I saw the one without the narration because it is far more intriguing when you're just presented pictures. And the animation is. Hmm. Bizarre is an understatement. It's beyond odd and weird, but it's also so well made. Although you have to have a lot of patience to go through this. I think it's about 50 something minutes. And it makes zero sense as a viewer when you're looking at what things are happening on the screen. And everything looks chaotic, everything looks out of place. There is no logic, no human logic to why things are happening. What is happening? And only until the towards the end you kind of get the message. But the description of this movie is basically it tells the story of a gargantuan city where there are some powerful immortals who are bored and because of their eternal life, and they spent their time trying to construct new objects, new creations, and there is a hierarchy of how these creations interact with each other. It's very difficult to put in words, but they're spending all this time to entertain themselves in a way because they're waiting for something. And actually, the answer is in the name of the of the title, because it's called Chronopolis. Chronos comes from time, and polis come from the Greek word meaning city. So it's the city of time in a way, and it's very interpretable what they are waiting for and what happens towards the end to them. But we'll get to that. So the point is that they create these very strange things, and we don't understand as the viewer what they do or what the purpose is and why they're making them the way they're making them. And it's normal. We are not part of that world, and that alienates us. It makes zero sense to us to look at this and not understand anything out of it. It's like an ant trying to understand humanity. It's gonna be something that it cannot get its tiny brain wrapped around, about so many concepts because the small creature just focused on its life, and all of a sudden it realizes there is an entire universe out there, and there is so much to know and so little time. And since we're talking about immortals, they have had the time to do so many, 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 many things. So they created this sphere like object, which is very malleable, elastic, plastic, and so on. And it does all sorts of unknown weird things. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Lovecraft universe. It's the crazy dance of the forbidden gods, forgotten gods, of the old ones. And yeah, the point is, in one particular scene, there are some humanoid creatures that are climbing, I don't know, a very steep mountain. And one of them falls, and somehow it interacts with this creation while it's falling, and it does not perceive the gods at first, the immortals. And it does not understand what the object is, but it does react to its presence. So the gods kind of see this as entertainment, and they kind of want to experiment with the human and their new created toy. But the toy itself, well, the creation itself, has a mind of its own. It does not necessarily listen to its creators. It's kind of like a child. And but there are limited interactions between the creators and the creation. It's difficult to portray. As I said, everything is presented in pictures and music, and it's kind of like an Egyptian sort of a theme, if I would have to describe it. Anyway, so this sphere starts singing to its newfound friend, the humanoid, and this guy starts dancing, and the ball starts interacting with his dance and creates all of this sort of dreamlike reality. And the immortals put them in sort of a glass cage, let's call it. And then the humanoid perceives that there are the immortals there and does not understand what's happening. But somehow, at one point, and I'm not entirely sure if it's the sphere that creates this effect towards the immortals, or if the immortals intended for the sphere to do this, or if something else has happened, but the immortals just fade away in a way. And it could be interpreted that this was they were waiting for their end, the end of their time or something, or maybe it's their ascension towards another reality, and it's left to interpretation. But what is clear is that the entire city starts to crumble and fade away, and curiously enough, the creation and the humanoid get out of the city. So even though they disappeared, they still left their mark in their creation, and the humanoid does not become its master but its friend. So it's a very interesting message. It's very unique, very weird, but also you can kind of understand of what's going on there, and it's left for you to describe the narrative. And it can be a good narrative, a bad narrative. It's all up to you. Now, personally, I don't think that it is described with any malice. It's just very misunderstood for the viewer to perceive what actually was going on in the head of the creator. But the creator of the movie was clever in the sense that it left these little pieces that you can associate with the humanoid, the music, some aspects of the world that are interpretable to us in various shapes and forms, but at one point they get so diffuse that it's beyond our understanding. But we can still associate up to that degree. And that is important. When you have those elements that don't alienate the viewer to the point where it looks at your work and says, well, I don't see and I don't understand anything of what's going on here. It's garbage because it's just a bunch of weird, random things that you throw in there, and I don't see the meaning or the purpose of all of that. But if you give a little bit of purpose and a little bit of understanding for the viewer to interject within the story and really feel like it can be part of that world, it becomes quite attractive and original and unique of how he perceives that world. An imaginary world that seems impossible, but be enough plausible to exist based on the because you bend the rules of existence but you don't break them, or you show there are more rules that we still don't know about our reality. So since these immortals had so much time to learn everything, they know more about reality than we can. So in our limited capacity we can kind of get a tiny drop of what they're doing, but not the full picture, and that is enough. Anyway, it's difficult to put in words, but it is a very clever idea, and this can be applied to anything when it comes to art. Now, um, obviously, we should never stop imagining because when we create this world in our mind, well, even our reality can also be perceived by our senses. So reality can be much weirder than our senses allow us to see. And of course, the imagination allows us to create these extra senses in our mind, but we can only perceive our imaginary world with those extra senses, let's call them. And that is important because it can enlighten us in a way and expand our way of thinking and way of seeing the world we live in. And maybe, who knows, maybe we can make a breakthrough for our imagination one day. But put yourself like in the shoes of a caveman from 10,000 years ago. And the caveman could did have time to ponder about his reality and maybe even some of the future of his species. But if you bring it into our time, it would be totally alien, like brushing your teeth. It would not understand the concept. It's something for him. Is like, why are you putting a stick in your mouth? What is the purpose of that? It's hurtful if you do that. Does not understand how our world works and how we have created it to work, because it was not a design with the caveman perspective in mind. It was designed for our current day time, for the what are we now? We are descendant of the Homo species. Uh, well, anyway, so if we would go 10,000 years into the future, maybe it will be the same for us because the future is not designed with us in mind. So if we would give a grenade to the caveman would either worship the grenade or try to, because it's such an unique item for him, or try to break rocks with it. It does not understand its function, or it's dangerous, and the same could happen to us. Maybe we're given like a piece of rock that has very smooth shapes, and we would look at it and say, yeah, it's a nice art style that we can look at, but maybe we try to lick it, and maybe the device is something that disintegrates molecules or propels us into another dimension. But then again, we wouldn't know how to activate it because it was not intuitively designed for us. It was designed for the species of that time. It might be the human species in 10,000 years, or another species that evolution allowed, or maybe an alien species, or maybe nothing at all because the Earth maybe became uninhabitable, and everyone left or died. So we cannot even know what the possibilities of the future might be, what nature might develop into. Maybe we will get exterminated, as nature might see us as bad bacteria and develop uh, an antivirus for us and wipe us all out. Anything is possible. But yeah, unique ideas are not all exhausted because as maybe as infinite as our universe can be, who knows if it's infinite or not. But I believe infinity is a concept that we still cannot get our heads wrapped around, but we can think that we can understand it to some degree. It's scary because we cannot fully understand it and we don't know how it can affect us. It's very unpredictable and very chaotic out there. But then we also see like the humanoid that was seeing the creation, that was dancing and singing music. I'm not saying that the universe was created. I'm just saying that the universe has its own set of rules that kind of sing to us in a way and show us there is also an organized chaos that can be harmonic and not destructive all the way. Although destruction is not annihilation, it can just mean a new rebirth of a new universe or of a new reality. So maybe the universe in itself could be sentient, but we just can't perceive that or understand that because there are more rules of reality that we still haven't learned about. So, yeah, always experiment with your imagination. Try to extend it into very odd and weird and crazy perspectives that are beyond human understanding. And who knows, maybe you stumble upon something that will teach us all something interesting that we can embrace and maybe can associate to some degree as well. Be original and be fantastic and be awesome as usual. Okay, guys, see you in the next episode. Bye 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 bye.